Hi, I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
I'm Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And we're the insiders. And this week we're going to be talking about the Milwaukee mayor's race. We only change mayors in Milwaukee about once a generation. And apparently now that 20 some years have passed, and it looks like Mayor Barrett will get appointed to an important ambassadorship in Europe. There will be a race for mayor sometime in 2022. And what do you think that's shaping up to look like? Who's going to be running? Who do you think is favored, Chuck?
Well, first, congratulations to Mayor Barrett. I think he will be he is a diplomatic guy, and I think he will fit the Luxembourg ambassadorship in a good way. With regard to the mayor's race, it will be an interesting dynamic. And by the way, the difference here is that, well, not the difference. Tom Barrett ran for governor. It's often the fact that the mayor of Milwaukee becomes a candidate for governor. So it's entirely possible that that will happen. So this could have implications far beyond Milwaukee. But Milwaukee itself, of course, is the largest city in the state. So who have we got? We've got a sheriff who is apparently very committed to running. You've got the city council president who will become the acting mayor and who will be the mayor as the election progresses. You've got Marina Dmitrievich, who's looking at running, who's a longtime activist, and I believe she's now on the city council. And you've got Bob Donovan, who's a guy who has a long-term history in Milwaukee, and you'll probably have some others as well. Did you hear what I said there? There were 3 guys and 1 girl. That says a lot to me. I think that Marina Dmitrievich is well positioned for this. However, what will happen here is that helps her for the primary. I think there's a good chance she gets to the primary. Then the question will be with whoever she matches up with in the general election. And will that be the council president who's now mayor? Will that be the sheriff? Will that be Bob Donovan? Whoever she matches up with there, how will it play in the general election? I think that any one of those 4 could be the mayor, but I think a lot of people in terms of handicapping the race, they're thinking that the city council president, the sheriff, Marina Donovan, that may be their thing. My view, I think Marina Dmitrievich makes it through the primary. And then I think it's a contest as to who wins after that. I am not that close to Milwaukee that I know, but I think just overall in a heavily Democratic city, and you have a woman on the ballot with 3 guys, boy, I think it's hard. And she's a very astute political operative and is very effective in what she does. She used to be county board chair, did a great job there. I think that she is really well positioned to be able to run a race that gets her through the primary.
Chuck, I generally agree with you on this. I think that Marina Dmitrievich is in a very good position. Not only is the only woman in the race, but as the acknowledged progressive in the race. I think she's the person who will take the progressive vote, win that east side of Milwaukee. She's the person who all the activist groups are generally going to rally around. So she's got, when you have a 4-way primary or even more, you need to deliver your base to that election, and your base has to be sufficient to get 25-30% of the vote in order to make it on to the next round. She's probably the person starting out closest to that. The 2 African-American candidates, the city council president, Chevy Johnson, who will become the acting mayor, and the sheriff, Sheriff Lucas, I think those 2 people, they're kind of fighting over the same turf. Not only is the African-American vote, but also they're sort of seen as mainstream Democrats. The mainstream party and the business leadership of the city is very comfortable with Sheriff Lucas and very comfortable with City Council President Chevy Johnson. So they're kind of dividing up the same piece of turf. And I think that's going to, one of them may pull ahead of the other, but at the moment that actually looks like they could possibly knock each other out in a primary situation like that. And then Bob Donovan, whose constituency is probably the more conservative, older, whiter vote, he could squeak through with 25-30% of the votes. That's what he got last time he ran for mayor against Tom Barrett. He got like 30% of the vote. But with more candidates in the race, I think that becomes a little tougher for him. So I don't know. I would guess in the end it'll be between Marina Dmitrievich and Chevy Johnson probably. Normally being the sheriff at a time when crime is rising in Milwaukee might be a good spot unless you get blamed for it, right? I mean, you could equally say, well, goodness gracious, you guys haven't done enough here.
But the bottom line is, I think it's going to be an interesting election. I think Scott and I are in agreement. There's a good chance that Marina makes it through the primary. Then she has a shot at the general. There probably will also be an African-American. And whether it's an African-American sheriff or city council president, Chev Johnson, these are all three of those people, maybe not so much Bob Donovan, but perhaps all three of those people would have a good shot in a Democratic primary running for governor. And I think that let me say, be the first person to say this. I think if Marina Dmitrievich wins and becomes the mayor, I think she could very well be the first woman governor that's in the state of Wisconsin.
I think that job will have been taken by then, but we'll see. Next
We'll see
week.
you next time.